It's time, reading time. Welcome to Reading Time with Amanda Brown.
Breaking the Ice, written by Angie Bullard, with an afterword by Manon Romy, illustrated by C.F. Payne. Manon's fingers itched to hold a hockey stick. Her brothers flew across the ice while Manon stood on the sidelines watching. Swish, swoosh, skates glided from side to side. Swoop, a sudden stop. Whoosh, the stick cut through the air. Kerchunk! The stick hit the puck, sending it down the ice. Manon imagined blocking the puck. I wish I could play on the team too, Manon said with a sigh. In 1977, in her hometown of Le Beauport, Quebec, Canada, and everywhere else in the world, hockey was a boys' sport. But that was all about to change. Shortly after Manon's 5th birthday, the team her dad coached needed a goalie for their first game. Manon took a deep breath and whispered, "Dad, I can play goalie." Her parents stared at her with eyes as big as hockey pucks. "Play goalie?" Dad said. "Hockey?" Mom exclaimed. "That's for boys." "But she plays all the time with us in the backyard," her brothers chimed in. "And they always make me play goalie," Manon said. "Please, I can do it." It was a crazy idea. Manon didn't even own hockey skates. She had never practiced with the team, and she would be the only girl in the league. But the team needed a goalie, and Manon wanted a chance. On the day of the game, Manon didn't worry that she had never played on a team before. All she cared about was finally being in the game. She raced toward the ice. "Manon, wait!" Dad called out. He pulled a goalie mask out of his bag and handed it to her. "Why do I have to put on the mask now?" Manon asked. "People aren't ready to see a girl play on a boys' team yet." "Not yet," Dad said. "But don't let that stop you. You can do anything you put your mind to." Manon did as he said and then skated to the goalie net. No one could see there was a girl's face behind the mask. Manon didn't realize she was about to change history. She was too busy enjoying the game. Playing goalie was much trickier than Manon had imagined. Goalie equipment was heavy and bulky, making it difficult to stand up on her skates. And the puck stung worse than a bee when it hit a part of her body not covered by pads. But none of that compared to the feeling of blocking the puck from entering the goal. With each save, her team erupted in cheers. They were ecstatic that the new player could stop a shot, even if she was a girl. 3 things were clear after that game. 1. Manon was not afraid of the puck slamming into her. 2. She needed to practice if she wanted to get better. 3. She loved playing goalie more than playing with her toys, skiing, figure skating, ballet, or anything else. The next week, Manon joined the team her dad coached. She was the only girl in the entire league, which didn't matter when she was young. The kids came to the rink already dressed and left with their gear still on. Manon didn't have to worry about changing in a separate locker room or feeling different from the rest of the team. Sometimes the other teams and parents didn't even know there was a girl under all that equipment. But as she grew older, Being the only girl started to matter more and more. Kids from other teams taunted her. Girls play dolls, not hockey. Parents complained. She's taking our son's spot on the team. Coaches shook their heads. No girl will ever play on my team. But Manon believed in herself even when others doubted her. She worked her hardest to prove she belonged in the game. Nothing could stop Manon from playing hockey. Not ice spraying in her face, pucks crashing into her mask, or players plowing her over. You have to work harder and be rougher than the boys, Dad said. Manon arrived early and stayed late after practice. She played with bruised arms and pulled muscles. She skated on the ice until it was too dark to see the pucks. In 1984, several years after her first game, Manon made history when she played in the prestigious Quebec International Pee Wee Hockey Tournament. Never had a girl played in the tournament. In fact, the rules had to be changed to allow her to enter. Dozens of reporters crowded around the shy 11-year-old girl who had just broken the rules. They couldn't believe a girl, and one so small, could stop such hard shots. Manon, do you think girls could play hockey at a higher level? One reporter asked. In a voice just above a whisper, Manon replied, one day, a woman will make the National Hockey League, if no one prevents her. From that moment on, reporters followed Manon to her games. She didn't want the extra attention. She just wanted to play hockey. By the time Manon was a teenager, she was one of the top goalies in her age group. But coaches still cut her from the best teams simply because she was a girl. It was unfair and made her angry. Manon could have quit, but she didn't. Instead, she continued playing her best, and slowly her luck started to change. In 1991, Gaston Drapeau, coach for a Quebec Major Junior Hockey League team, saw how talented Manon was and asked her to be the third string goalie on his team. Months of practicing passed by before Manon got to play. During one of the last games of the season, the starting goalie was injured and the backup goalie blew a big lead. Coach Drapeau decided it was time to take a chance with Manon and put her in the game. The crowd gave her a standing ovation as she skated to the net. She was a bundle of nerves. Luckily, she was covered in goalie gear, so no one could see her shaking. Once she was in position, all of her fears melted away. In front of the net was where she felt the most alive and the most confident. The fans went wild every time she blocked a shot. She was playing her best ever until a hard shot slammed into her mask. The mask cracked, cutting a deep gouge into the side of Manon's face. She was forced to leave the game to get stitches. It was her first and last game in the Major Junior Hockey League. Less than a year later, when she was 20 years old, something extraordinary happened. Phil Esposito, general manager of a new NHL team called the Tampa Bay Lightning, saw footage of Manon playing during the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League game. He was impressed with what he saw. That goalie has talent, Phil said to his scout. Invite him to the camp for tryouts. After the game was finished, Manon took off her mask. Phil paused the tape and peered closely at the goalie. A girl? He exclaimed. Phil could have changed his mind, but he didn't. In 1992, there was not a professional hockey team for women, and no woman had ever played a game in any of the top four male professional sports leagues in America. Not hockey, football, baseball, or basketball. Manon would have to pave her own way, and that made her nervous. Everyone would be watching her. No one could believe a girl was going to a professional tryout. Not even Manon. What if I can't do it? She thought. She closed her eyes and imagined herself blocking the winning goal. A smile skated onto her face. Are you sure you want to go? Her mom asked. You'll be playing against men, not boys. I need to know how far I can go, Manon replied. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and I don't want to look back and wonder what might have happened. Manon's love of the game was stronger than her fear, so she packed her bags and left for Florida. On the first day of camp, Manon froze when she saw the other players. These men are huge! She stared in awe at how quickly they skated. Manon had never played with such experienced players. No one thought she'd make it through the first day. The newspaper said Phil was just using Manon to sell tickets to the games. They thought she was too pretty, too girly, and too small to play with men, especially professional hockey players. Manon, how many nails did you break? A reporter asked. Do you think you'll be able to keep up? A voice shouted from the back. Manon bit her lip. She had years of practice blocking out negative comments. She knew the only way to quiet their doubts was to focus on the game and play her best. The first day came and went, but Manon survived. By the end of the week, it was time for the first round of cuts. Manon paced inside her locker room, waiting to be sent home like most of the other rookies. Her heart raced faster than a 100-mile-per-hour puck. Instead of telling Manon she would go home, Phil said, "Keep up the great work." Manon was ecstatic. She had another week to play. When the reporters found out Manon was still at the camp, they tried even harder to cut her down. She's a publicity stunt, one reporter wrote. Manon didn't care if that was true or not. All her life, people had told her she couldn't play because she was a girl. Now, someone had told her she could play because she was a girl. She was going to make the most of the chance she had been given. She would finally know just how far she could go. After practices, the other players relaxed in the warm southern sun. But Manon had to rush off to dozens of news interviews, press conferences, and photo shoots. Some nights she was so exhausted, her knees wobbled beneath her. Between practices and the publicity, Manon hardly had time to sleep. By the end of the 2 weeks, Manon's record was the third best of any goalie at the camp. Phil and her coach noticed how hard she worked and how well she played. You'll play in our preseason game, Phil told her. You earned the spot, said her coach. Manon felt like she had been struck by lightning. The arena was packed for Tampa Bay Lightning's very first game. Reporters and photographers crowded along the edge of the ice. People arrived from across the United States and Canada to see this incredible event. It was the first time a woman would play in the National Hockey League. Manon led her team to the ice. Her hands trembled, sweat trickled down her face. For a moment, she worried she wasn't ready. As soon as Manon stepped onto the ice, though, her fear melted away. The crowd became a blur. The noise faded. Now she wasn't nervous. She was focused. She was where she belonged. The people in the stands jumped to their feet and cheered wildly when Manon skated to the net. Her teammates tapped her on her shoulder pads. Her coach nodded his approval. Finally, they all believed in her. Manon pulled down her mask and did what she loved best. Thank you for tuning in to Reading Time with Amanda Brown. I hope that if you enjoyed this story, that you will like, that you'll share it with somebody else, and that you will become a subscriber to our channel.